It's alright, don't worry about it. So I probably have to manually check on... Let's see. No, yeah. I manually have to check on my Streamlabs every so often because there's so many windows I have open for today, and this is gonna be fun, in my opinion. I love teaching this one because IPA is something I'm very interested in learning in. And let me go ahead and send you the file first in the group. So I think my whole screen should be shared. This will be our lesson for today. So thank you for coming in. Let's see. Materials, it's gonna be here in Discord called IPA lesson. And that's it. That's for our lesson today. So if you open the document, you'll have the same thing as this. And I have so many things open because I can cross-reference a lot of things and show examples of how to apply it. So this will be pretty fun, in my opinion. So we'll do this one. Oh wait. And transcription. What's the transcription? I put different names for this. Okay. There we go. So I'll show that as a reference later. We'll first focus on the IPA lessons for today. So the importance of knowing what IPA stands for is because a lot of dictionaries like to use IPA, and because IPA is technically the alphabet that represents all sounds across the entire world. So if you're asking like, oh, what's the pronunciation of your name? There's a specific way to write it. So it's not the same as, like, for example, in America. When you see my name written down, they put this. So people often use the American pronunciation of my name. They say Hannah, when it actually should be pronounced as Hana or Hana, which is what the name I go by when people pronounce my name. So that matters a lot, because if you want people to pronounce the name accurately, this is why everyone refers to the IPA. IPA stands for International. So here, International Phonetics Alphabet. Okay, so International Phonetics Alphabet. So these are the symbols for the most part is kind of faithful to the American symbols for the most part. But the moment you go to symbols like this, whereas this one, and probably this one will throw you off too, and this one. So everything else in the alphabet kind of stays true to the American pronunciation. But once you come across these symbols, these are different. This one is called a voiced, or voice, actually this is voiceless, sorry. This is called voiceless, a voiceless vowel, consonant sound, and this is called a voiced consonant sound. Like, there is like a different, the reason why it's called voiced and unvoiced is because it represents whether it vibrates in your throat. So if you say stuff like P and B is a good example of this. P represents voiceless, so how do we use it? It's in VL. So no voice or unvoiced. What did we use for it? I totally forgot the symbol we used for it. Voiceless, VC, I think, or unvoiced. Here they put voiced. The difference is because P and B are very similar to the sounds they make, so if you're not careful in pronouncing it properly, you might say the wrong thing. So there's people who would say pie, so pa. The pa sound comes out of the air in your mouth. This is often called the aspirated sound. Aspirate means like getting air puffed out of your mouth. Whereas the B, when you touch your throat, it vibrates and goes b. So p and b. If you compare both of them, you notice the p sound for the letter P doesn't make any vibrations in your throat, whereas the B sound makes a vibration. So this is how you can determine whether it's voiced and unvoiced. So PB is often compared with each other. You'll see there'll be a chart in the bottom where I'll show you later that there's a lot of tables where they tell you the name, the location, what sounds they make, and so on and so forth. So this one here, we have a voiceless TH sound, which it makes like a thigh with. So notice the TH sound goes to th sound. Whereas this one here, the voice one, kind of resembles to the sound of a letter Z. So z, like the, and then thy, other, than. So notice the difference here is that when you say the voiceless, it's just like a th. The placement of your tongue is very important, and a lot of people who are learning IPA for the first time or American English for the first time, they struggle with these two words because often the TH is not present in many languages. And to produce this sound, the TH is very close to the S sound. And what happens is instead of making the S sound, the tongue is between the teeth. So it's almost like it's a sandwich between it. And then when you make the sound for the TH, your tongue retracts back into your mouth. So it makes a thigh. Same with the position of the voiced TH sound. So they make a the. So it vibrates. You feel your tongue actually vibrating against your teeth. And then it pulls into your mouth as well. Thy. So that's why the TH sounds can be challenging and often falls to being pronounced with the S sound or the Z sound. That's the most common error by far. The symbol here of the R is very crucial in American English because the letter R in IPA indicates rolling of your tongue. So this one would be pronounced ra. That's the sound that this would make if I see that. But when it's upside down R, it's So rye, barrel, fur. Then you've got L, pretty straightforward, lie, sell, slap. As we get into advanced IPA, maybe in the far future, who knows, there's a difference between something called a light L and a dark L. They have a lot of things about this in linguistics. It's really interesting. Here, it looks like a squiggly L is the way I describe it. What helps is that because it's kind of squiggly, you kind of realize it's like a long S squiggle. So this one, it indicates the sh sound. Shy, nation, machine. So notice that the ones that they highlight here, they don't use the same spelling like shy here. This is where it gets a lot of confusion with learners learning IP for the first time. Is that your mind wants to pair this up because based of the symbol that we use in American English. But notice here, nation, it has a sound for sh, but it has a different spelling. And it's kind of weird because when you see ti isolated, you think tie or ti, but you have to separate yourself from the American rule. Just know this is indicating sound by itself. So machine. This was contradicting too because you say cha, you're like, huh. No, it's machine for this one. This one here, azure, vision. So this one's almost the same as the Z sound. It's very similar. I've been told it sounds like the French accent of the Z sound. Z, like azure and vision. I guess that's a terrible that's a terrible copy or like accent of the French, and I'm so sorry. That was so bad. So of course this one is like almost like the Z and S are kind of combining itself. Azure, vision. Okay, and then the next one here, it's a letter T and that squiggly S or L sound. This one is, whereas this one is the sh sound, and this one's like a z sound kind of. This one here, it makes a ch sound, like cha-cha. So church, watch, chide. You would often hear that with this. This one is contradicting because think of the DZ sound here. D and then it says a Z combined with a 3 kind of look. It's more of the J sound. So lodging, gin, judge. So technically they should technically highlight the J for judge because yeah. So judge, gin, lodge. So that would, the J in judge should technically count. I don't know why they didn't highlight that. This one I circled because in some places, like the origins of Latin, the J, and also in German, the J is often pronounced as the Y sound. So like Jaeger, Jägermeister. You got the J, I think, I can't remember if it was like... What was interesting as well is I thought I combined this with like what I know about Spanish, that whenever I see yo in Spanish as an I I often hear people pronounce the Y as a J, and I'm like, what? So in some cases, I hear accents where the J says a jo, instead of yo. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. In some cases, um,
Yeah, I think I pronounce it like a J,
mm-hmm.
Jo.
Yeah, jo, which
Yeah.
is interesting because I know in some places they pronounce it as that, depending. Like I think this is depending on the country of that's a Spanish speaking country, because some of them do use that. Other places, I think Mexican Spanish, I think they don't use the J. They use the just yo.
You, yeah.
I think Mexican Spanish does that, but the Spain Spanish maybe use J, like jo, or maybe Ecuador perhaps does the same thing too. So it just really depends on where you are. Like,
Yeah, I think that in Spain they say it like Jo, like
mm-hmm,
some kind of SH, I don't know,
mm-hmm.
Jo.
So it's interesting, right?
Or in
So
Argentine, yeah. It's
exactly.
interesting.
So that's probably why they kept it, because there's probably a history with this in Spanish. Maybe it's most likely with Latin, I would say, is the reason why they kept it. Because Latin, they have the J pronounced as the Y sound. And I would say people who know German, this would make it easier for them too, because J signifies Jaeger, Jägermeister. Jaeger bombs if you go drinking. um, so here, K for kind, think, and school. So this one, of course, is misleading because the spelling is the ch sound here, but it actually represents as school. Don't ask me why they decided this. I don't understand why. Um, you got G or D pronounced here. This one is called an ang. So this one, it's anything with the ing sound. So ng basically, like bring, gong, angle. So it's anything with the ng sound. So this one with the H, you have hi, happy, who. Anything with the h. The W is the wawa sound. So I think that's pretty explanatory right there. Now we're moving on to the vowels. This one's a little bit confusing because when you see it, you're just like, okay, my brain can't register this. It's the first time for me when I looked at it too. I was like, oh my god. So a lot of the times, this I here that you see, in some languages, whenever you see the I present, they make the E sound, the long E. So this is called the long E. So think bead, peak, mean. I was thinking mine in German, I don't know why. So bead, peak, and mean. So E, long E. This one here for the I is bid, lift, and pin. This is the short I sound. Short I. This one you got, this representation of the E actually is the long A sound. So long A. So bathe, lazy, rain. Here is the short E sound with the E. This one is called an epsilon. So bed, letter, pen. A. This one is called an ash. So maybe I should even write there. Ash. Epsilon. They call this a small capital I. Small cap I. It's so funny when I see that. So basically back here. Ash. This is the short A sound. So this is where you say your apple, bad, latch, pan. This one is called a script A, I believe. Is it script A? I'm trying to remember. There's a name for it. Turn script A. What's it called again? Yeah, they have a different name for it. So this one's called script A. This one is called a type A. Okay, I remember now. So here, this is called script A. This is probably the A that you use whenever you learn writing for the first time in school. It's the aw sound. This one is also represents as the short O sound. So short O. So this is where you get the word ostrich. This is where you get fall, all of the aw sound. So bod, lod, fall. This is the long O sound, kind of like straightforward. Long O, bode, loaf, toe. This one is called an upsilon, I believe. Upsilon. I might be wrong in what it's called. I think it might be called omega. Just because I feel like I saw this symbol in like one chemistry class before. I can't remember, but I think it's called upsilon. And then here, This one where you say horseshoe. When you say horseshoe, think of good luck. So the image alone kind of helps to distinguish this. So horseshoe indicates good luck. So anything with good, like make the sound. You got bush, took, fur, good. So that's how I remembered it, is when I see a horseshoe, it means good luck. So the word good, that's the indication of that sound. This U sound is a long U. Long U. So you got bood, loot, to. This one I like to indicate between this one and the schwa, which is what we're gonna go into next. If you live in Southern California, so that's me, basically me calling myself out, we cannot tell the difference between this one and this one. We have a very, very difficult time telling the difference, but if you're someone from a different language, you might be able to hear the difference between them. But as for me, I'm very hopeless. So a lot of the times whenever I teach these two, I can't tell them apart. I might switch them, I might flip-flop them. I might not even be accurate at all with them. But a lot of people accept the fact that that's okay, because if they know you're from Southern California, it explains so much why you cannot tell the difference here. So for you, Mariana, since you came from a different country, your hearing might be more accurate than mine, hearing the difference between bud and like bud and about, because I can't hear it. They sound very similar with one another. So here, bud, lump, ton. This one is has the schwa sound, so about, listen, to, or like tomorrow. So a lot of people say tomorrow. That's probably why. For me, I say tomorrow. So I would probably say this. So this is why it's so fun to say this word. I'll use this as an example later. So an example would be here. The word tomorrow, it depends per person. From this one, it indicates that the O here is spelled as tomorrow. So it would be pronounced as ta-ma-a. So this would be the IPA spelling of this word. So this is the word tomorrow, and then you move it here. So this one, they're trying to say that when people say this word, they say tomorrow. For me, I say it like this. Ro. So by doing this, I'm saying I say the word tomorrow. Like tomorrow, I'll see you. Bye, I'll see you tomorrow. So I say more of this pronunciation. So as you can see, IPA is pretty flexible. They'll accept the way you pronounce a word and the way you write it, because they understand that this is respecting the various aspects around the world. Because everyone who speaks English, there is an accent. For example, there's a difference between when you learn from me in Geneva, because Geneva has the transatlantic accent, so she's like the mid USA. Mine is Western, so yeah, the far Western, because it's Californian. So there's a difference in the way we will say things, and that's because where we were brought up using these accents, you know? And you will notice this more often when you go visit different or interact with different English speakers. So moving on, here is the sound. So bird, turn, earth, AI connected together. Sometimes it's also this symbol. Sometimes. So this one makes the long I sound. So long I here. It's bide, high, cycle. This one is the ow sound. So you make bowed, ouch, now. And the last sound here is boy, toil, and lawyer. My brain is like not functioning today, so I can't remember what they call them. Well, basically, there's a fancy word for calling them. It's like combining two sounds of a vowel that creates another sound. So, I think it's called a cluster. Yeah, you call it, no, that's the consonant cluster. And then this one is I totally forgot. I think it's called a cluster as well, but I'll double check it. But that's a combination of words. Okay, so moving on to the next part here. We're now visiting the table here. This is going to be a little bit confusing for you since I know you're new to this one. So let me go ahead and zoom in. This is the consonant pulmonic. So this is the IPA version. So every sound here that you see present, they are all available. They are all available in online. I mean, like they're all available from different parts of the world. So some of these words don't even exist in American. Like for example, I believe this sound here for fricative. Actually, let me do a different color because you can't see it. This color here, this B sound, this is probably Japanese pronunciation of Facebook. Facebook. They say Facebook. So it sounds like there's an F and W kind of put together. So this is probably the sound they make. I might be wrong, so I'll accept that if I'm incorrect here. But I think this was the sound that it made. I'll confirm it again later. So here, this is where I was explaining that everything on the left side indicates that it's a voiceless. So it's a puff of air in your mouth and there's no vibration in your throat. Everything on the right side, it's going to be voiced. So there you go. So left is voiceless or unvoiced, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. And then voiced right here to tell you that it vibrates in your throat. So majority of them, majority of these things, they have a lot of everything on the voiced side because if you touch your throat vibrates. So that's what it is. This stop here called glottal, it's where you kind of choke on the word on your throat. So like hangin'. So notice that the ing at the end was probably deleted. Or what's another example I can use? It's in a different language because glottal is kind of present in English, kind of, but it depends on the region. There might also be a glottal, most likely in different languages. So the one I can think of is I think Hawaiian. So if you go Hawaii, they do use a lot of glottal. That's probably where I find American there. A lot of Hawaiian words incorporate using the glottal stop, which is basically like that, kind of like in the middle, like at the ahs, like that. So notice there was a pause before I said the second a. That's a glottal stop. So literally, there's like you choke on the word. That's what I like to describe. You just choke on the word because of the glottal stop. So the ones you know in American is definitely these bilabials. You're gonna use this one. We don't use trills. We use this one. 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 This one is the dark L that I mentioned earlier. We use this one. We use lateral liquid. Which one else do we use? We use this one. We use this one. We use uvular. We use glottal. Actually, did we use uvular? No. We do not use uvular, so that's where I'm wrong. We use, let's see. We don't use that. Do we use J? Yes. So out of everything I marked here, the ones circled in red, those are the ones that appear in the American English. Oops, this one too. Anything that I did not circle is from a different language or different parts of the world. So as you can see, there's a table set up for it. There's some things here that are darkened here. As far as I remember what my teacher explained to me, the ones that have a dark circle, or was it the white one? I can't remember. They said one of these squares are where there's a possibility that a language does have this pronounced in their language, but it hasn't been found yet. So it's almost like the periodic table where we're finding new chemicals like every single day or something. So it's kind of like it's kind of similar to the periodic table for chemistry. We're still finding letters to fill in here. I don't know if the black ones here mean that it's impossible to fill in, or if it was the black ones that indicate that, not the black ones, but the darkened ones. This one indicates that there is a sound for it, but we have to look for it. So there's that. So in a way, the table's still incomplete. This one here is a reference for knowing the sounds and where their positions are in your mouth. So if you say front and high, it's like E, E. So it kind of feels like it's the roof of your mouth, and an I kind of there too. And then so on and so forth. The oo, you can feel it in your throat, oo, and then for good. Good, good, I think this is sound to make. For some reason, I have a hard time saying that word. So for this one, we use this one. Why aren't you using the red? We use this one, you use that one, this. We use the schwa, we use this one, we use that one, we use this one, and that one. I don't know if I got around to explain this to you earlier, and it's my bad if I forgot. Often people call this the British aw sound. So if you say laugh is for American, they would say laugh, like that's all I want, or I'd like to laugh at that too, or something. So notice when I say this aw sound, that's the British A. They call this the turned O. I mean, not the turned O. They call this the open O. There's another alternative where they have the backwards A like this, and this is called the turned script A, because this one is identified as script A. And I'm surprised because they didn't keep the other one here. There's another symbol that I have as this one. So usually when you see this one by itself, this one is the, I think they mentioned it here. Unless I said it wrong. Huh, they actually don't have it here. Interesting. So technically, there is a sound for the A by itself. I think it's this one, the script A. It's the bod lof one. So I'm kind of surprised that they have the A here. They don't have the A here though. I know there was a word for it, but I can't think of it right now. So technically there's that sound over there, but I don't know why it's not there. Cool. So before we go on to the next activity, I'm gonna go ahead and show you the application of these. So if you are interested to pursue linguistics in your career in the future, this is probably what you're looking at. So this is called L2 transcription. So a lot of these, this was my own personal handiwork when I submitted my assignment for my final exam for my last year before I became a post-bachelor student. So a lot of this, you can notice when I put the bar sign there, that means, oh, let me go ahead and also show that to this. I almost forgot about this. Let me switch it. Material lesson. Let's change the material for 1 hot second. Change it to L2 transcription. This one. Alright, so perfect. I should be able to see it on the screen now too. Double checking that you guys can see it. Excellent. Okay. So here for the L2 transcription, this is where you will definitely see applications of this. I'm not going to save this because this is a saved document. Notice what I wrote there is that anything that you pronounce in this box here means this is the pronunciation. This is a pronunciation version of that word, whatever it is. And then this one is the... I put here as brackets to explain that this is the word that I'm actually saying, Elsa. This is my grandma's name. So when she first said it, she pronounced her name as Ilsa. So indicated by the I there, it tells me Ilsa. And I asked her, Ilsa? And she said Elsa, so she corrected herself. So she pronounced it. So here I wrote that she pronounced her S as is. Is. E-L. Il. And then she says is, A. Elsa. And then she pronounced it correctly here, which is what I was indicating here. So whenever there's a problem in how people mispronounce something, I would mark it like this. So here it says, I am an average. So the way she said it was the V doesn't sound like a V sound. It makes a B sound. Because in the Filipino alphabet, V doesn't exist. And the F doesn't exist. So V and F don't exist in the Philippine alphabet. So we have a tendency to replace F with the P sound. And we pronounce the V with the B sound. So that's why when she says average, she says average. Average. I am an average student. And then she said average. So she tried to pronounce it again, but she failed pronouncing the V sound again. Instead, what happened is that she affected this section here, where now she says average with the A, long A sound. And this one tells me it's average. So as you can see, IPA is very nice to learn because you get to see how did they say it? was it incorrect? Was it correctly? How would you describe it? So there's no real meaning that you need to describe it. If you can provide the IPA version of it, then that's excellent. That you can go ahead and use this as an example. Let me see. So with the IPA that one, I'm gonna go ahead and share with you the grading scheme of like the grading for. Let me see if I can find it. If I can find the grading thing for our activity, which is, where is it? Here. The Dream Team Challenge Correction. So let me double check that everything is good. Okay, Discord has it. I have to change it manually for here. Properties, change it to, nope, that's not it. The Dream Team Challenge. Oops, that's not it. This one. For some reason, it's not finding it. The Dream Team. Oh, there you go. Excellent. There we go. So now we're here. This is the assignment. So if you were present to hear, or as long as you saw the announcement for the Dream Team Challenge, I explained already in the lesson not lesson announcement. I already announced it in the update section that there was a new activity, and I will further post updates on the activities announcement regarding this. And basically, you can put your submissions in the Dream Team Challenge chat room. So this is the grading system. This is how it's gonna look like. As an overview, if people hopefully get a chance to come around and watch this video. So the direction here corrected by would be the teacher. So for example, I would put my name here. I will either type it or I will handwrite it myself. Then student name. So we'll use your name for the time being since you're here in class, Mariana. So let's say you submit something and I write, okay, the student's name is Mariana. The theme. So I'm probably gonna give it away right now since we do have since just one student or like one theme for today. If you listen carefully to the audio, our theme is English, and I ask you guys to submit a Word document. So whatever you type up on Discord, I'll type it here, or I'll copy paste it here, and then I'm gonna look at this and listen to your oral skills. So of course you have to also post the video of you reading what you wrote. So when you do that, I get to do something that's similar to what I did here as an example for L2. Where you notice I put the slash and the brackets on there. So by just doing that, you're able to see what did you do wrong with the pronunciation, and it'll get you a step closer to pronouncing the word to more of like the American accent, I guess you could say, or more accurately, when you're working with me, it's a Southern Californian accent. So I would be able to type your letter there, and I would circle, correct whatever is needed. And since we already learned about the IPA, we're looking at the common consonant errors. So here are all the symbols I wrote for you. And then on top of that, there is also the symbols for the common vowel sounds. There we go. Everything's all written there. Then of course there's a reference here, which is lovely, and I'll go ahead and post this in a second. I think I already have it prepared in the other window. I will show you what this is. It also helps you understand and hear the difference, so you can train your ears to hear the sound, and you can also train yourself to copy the sound that they make. So I'll show you that in a minute. Then here in the writing skills, it's kind of self-explanatory, copy paste your writing. Now I'm analyzing it from a writer's perspective, grammar, etc. So the corrections would be, did you answer the question? So that for me, I would type down what are the questions I asked in the audio that I provided. And then I'll write down your answers next to it. Is it cohesive? Cohesive means, does it connect well with each portion? Like, when you make this point, like for example, if you say, my favorite ice cream is chocolate. Chocolate is my favorite ever since I was a child. That would be considered cohesive because the two thoughts continue, and it's basically talking about the same thing. But if you say, I like chocolate and the sky is blue today, that's not cohesive because you suddenly change topic. The word here, coherent, means, can I understand you? What are you saying? Does it make sense to me? Is it English at all? Did you say it correctly, etc.? That's what coherent means. Like someone can someone can say something and it doesn't make sense because they use the wrong tense or they use the wrong word class. So instead of saying they assumed this was the wrong class, they would say they assumption the wrong class, and I would say, oh, that's incoherent. I don't understand what you're saying. So that would tell me that's not coherent. Other rubric is spelling problems. Grammar problems provide each sample. Grammar problems is if I find like a sentence and I see a rule there where it's a grammar rule, I'm like, okay, that's an example of an error with subject-verb agreement. So for example, you say, she are the boss. So it should be she is the boss. That would be an example of grammar problems. The strength here would be what I think is a strength that I see from your paper. Weakness is what I would mention is what weakness do you have in your paper, and suggestions for improvement. And that's basically the gist of the Dream Team challenge here. Let me go ahead first and delete that. I wrote your name on here, sorry, Marianne. Because I'm using this as a reference for all the students. And this is how I'm gonna grade each one, and could explain why it's gonna take a while for me to grade, because it's very attention to detail. So it can be time consuming on the teacher's part, but you do learn and you get a lot of feedback on how you performed. So there's that. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and open this window here. And I'll make sure that my stream is capturing that. Go to properties, open. Where's Chrome? YouTube editor video. What is it? L2 transcript, that's not it. It's vowels. I don't know why it's not posting it. That's interesting. Okay, so I guess we can do this. And then I'll combine it. Oops. Let's see if this works. Let's see. Awesome, it does work. Okay, so I just ended up combining it just because I have so many tabs open. So you notice in the link in the document that I provided, I have a link for IPA consonant sounds. Hopefully you can hear this. Let me know if you can't hear it. And I'll also provide the link in the description box right now. Not description box, in the chat room box right now. So this is a link for the consonant, and here's a link for the vowel sounds. So for the consonant, you can go ahead and click on this. So on the top, you notice up here in the window, it says lowercase p, voiceless bilabial plosive is what they call it. Plosive is another meaning for stop. So this one is like the p, p. So basically when your mouth opens and closes, it's basically a stop. Like when you close your mouth, you can't talk anymore, right? So it stops you from speaking. So that's kind of like what it is. Bilabial means bi means two, labial means mouth. That means two lips, right? So this is where you're articulated with both lips. Labiodental, they have a good explanation here, so I think this is the cool update that they had. You articulated with both lower lip and upper teeth. Apparently we don't have anything for that. Alveolar is articulated with the tip of the tongue on the alveolar ridge. Alveolar ridge is the roof of your mouth, by the way. So that's your alveolar ridge. So ta, so notice your T touches the roof of your mouth, and same with duh. But the difference is when you pronounce them, the ta sound that you make, there's no vibration in the throat. Whereas when you say duh, there's a vibration of your throat. So as you can see, voiceless versus voiced. I know this is all new to you and it's coming right at you. Like a lot of things are coming right at you. But don't worry, it builds up over time and you just get used to it. I'm just introducing this as just like basically the overview as a reference. So if you want to practice the sounds you're making, just click on them.
Pa, pa, up.
Were you able to hear that? If not, then it's okay because it makes a sound that goes pa, pa. That's the sound it makes. This one too, it makes
Ba, ab.
It makes a ba, ba. So when it makes that sound, it's telling you to make that sound. This one, I think it's a fue.
Va, ava, Av.
Yeah, that's definitely the that is definitely the Japanese F sound that they make. They go of, avoir, of. So it makes that sound. Versus f,
Far.
a
Afar.
f.
Off.
So this is kind of challenging as a linguistic student on my first-hand experience. Learning how to differentiate between these two because they're very close to each other. This one makes a very close sound to the F. This one makes a very close sound to the V. So you really are relying on your listening skills to tell the difference between them. So this is basically what IPA is, that it helps train your ear to adjust to these sounds. So, for example, if you have a hard time hearing this sound, it's called esh, apparently.
Shaw.
It makes a sh.
Asha.
A sh.
Ash.
Osh. So, I'm repeating out loud for you, Mariana, because I know you can't hear this video, unfortunately, or the sounds, unfortunately. But if you click on the link, you'll be able to hear all the sounds that they're making. So this is a really, really good reference, learning the sounds it makes. So they also provide the names for them at the very top, which is even more useful. And then they have explanation as to why it's like this. So there's that. And then finally, we're looking at the vowel sounds here. Let me see. Make sure everything's good. We're looking at the vowel sounds here. So it's the same thing. If you hover your mouse on top, it'll change the names and it'll tell you the name. This is the one thing that frustrates me because there's two of these. There's a cardinal 4, type A. There's a sound it makes.
Ah.
It makes the ah sound. It's almost like this one. These two are very similar to me, so this is going to be hard for me to tell the difference. It's open A, and then it's a front. So this one says that front vowels articulate with the highest point of the tongue arching toward the front of the mouth, below the hard palate. Open vowels are articulated with the jaw relatively open to the highest point of the tongue, far from the roof of the mouth. So these are just references because they do give you a name. So at the front here, it says on top, open, front, unrounded. So open, front, unrounded is what it's identified as. And then the name of it is type A, or cardinal 4, which, you don't really need to know this stuff too much, but yeah, it kind of helps to know their placement if ever you worry about knowing the positions of them. Especially if you want to learn how to get the American accent faster. These are kind of useful because they tell you, like, it's almost like singing. You want to copy the way they sing. So this one is pronunciating. So you want to copy the way they pronounce words. Excellent. So we finished these two, and now we are going back to the IPA lesson, and I'm gonna go change this material here. Let's go back to the IPA lesson. Now, why it's so cool about learning this stuff is because you can read this. It's called IPA Transcription. So let's say you want to write a code to your friend and they know IPA as well. You can write like this and people will never understand what are you even talking about, because it looks like it came straight out of like Egyptian hieroglyphs, So it's a code, definitely, but this is an IPA code. Anyone who reads IPA is able to distinguish the sound it makes. So for me, I don't understand why they put this E sound. Maybe because this one doesn't have the symbol for them, so that might have been an issue. This should have been this one. So it should be he's. There's symbols like this. Don't worry about it, because that's a little bit on the higher level. So he is. Oh no, I see what they're saying. Because when I see the 2 colon there, it means that it's gonna be stretched a little bit, or was it shortened? I can't remember. Well, he is, because look at the sound it makes for is. You have to question it a little bit, right? So you're wondering, when they say is it pronounced with the S sound or the Z sound? Is sounds like a Z. That's why they use the symbol for Z. He is, N-I, and I forgot nearly the R. So it should be the E with the tail here. So nearly. He is nearly 90. So this one is the N-A-I, which is I use. This one they use a different symbol, but that's okay. 9. T. And then this one is a th sound. 3 years. So the J with the y. And then I can see why they put years. Ears. So years is technically how I would write it. Old. This one is a different symbol. It depends on them again. But this one you can say this one, old. Because the O sounds for the long O sound. So, well, he is 90 years old. So if I read that, I would understand it. There's also IPA for German. So IPA, again, it captures for all languages, right? All languages. So if someone was to teach you, or someone were to teach you German, you'd copy what they say. Da. So this one says da. M. This is the good m. Good. M. Musta. Da musta. And then, I don't know what this one is. Is it the A? Day. I don't know this symbol, unfortunately, because we don't have that symbol. Da musta de. And then, nor. Nordwind. Tasu. This one's interesting. I never seen this one. Tasu geben. So as you can see, I'm struggling saying it, but if someone in German was to teach you how to pronounce it, this is exactly how they would do it. So on and so forth from Italian, Mandarin, and Thai. So what's interesting is each one has their own symbol. Like they would have this. A lot of the IPA, they have stuff like that too. So for example, Americans, they have the apostrophe there. This is supposed to signify that this is where the stress is going to indicate here. This one tells you this is where it will elongate the sound or it will shorten it, because I don't remember what this is. And that's how they indicate to you how do you say stuff. And it gets even more complex as you get into IPA, but we're not going to go there because that's too complex. All right. So now we're getting straight to this activity. If you can you write your name in IPA? And then you can go ahead and submit it here. So I'm going to give you my name. And then you can also take a picture and type yours, or just send it as a picture. That's totally fine. So how you would spell my name is this one. There is 3 ways of pronouncing my name, which sucks for me. The Americans pronounce my name as Hannah. So they would pronounce it as this IPA. Make sure you put this bracket at the front because that indicates that this is the IPA spelling. Ha, Han, na. This is how people would pronounce my name, Hannah. Why? Because this one is the A sound. If you are from the Philippines, Spanish accent, Japanese, and then also Korean, they say my name. This is my birth name, my birth pronunciation. It's pronounced as Hana. So if you say Hana, Hana means one in Korean. Hana is in Japanese is flower. Spanish has the sound that they use, and Filipino also has the sound. So this is my birth pronunciation name, Hana. That's my name. And a lot of Americans have a really difficult time saying it for some reason. So they always end up saying Hannah, or this is the alternative name. I have stuck with my name for the longest time. Since people cannot use my name or spell my name, I have just opted to use my name as Ha. So the sound, Ha, Na. So this one here, notice the difference in each one is that the first letter A changes depending on who says my name. They can say Hannah, Hana, or Hana. So you can hear the 3 differentiation of my name, right? So all my life, I've tried to get people to say my name correctly, but because that never worked, I use this one, Hana. So you'll often see people mispronounce your name because the reason why people can't pronounce your name and you're wondering and you're frustrated, like, oh, why can't they say my name? Because in some languages, it's depending on the language that you're teaching to pronounce your name, it's really hard for them to access the accent that you're looking for. you know, because sometimes it's not easy to pronounce in some words. And to isolate it, for example, for me, whenever I see the word good, whenever I want to isolate the sound, so when I said mud, mud, good, mud, it doesn't make sense. This one is a different sound. So mood is a long U sound. This is the Me transferring the by itself is actually difficult for me. So as you can see, if people had a name that says in it, I would have a hard time saying their name because my tongue is not familiar with that word unless it's should, would, could, and good. That's where I would only stick with that sound. So can you guys provide how to write your name in IPA? Go ahead when you're ready to write. In the American Classroom A1, you can go ahead and post your answers there if you want to pronounce your name in a certain way. I also think it's wonderful when people learn this way because you get people to pronounce your name, which is nice. It's very nice. Okay, I'm gonna move you there. Cool. So, how would you say your name, Mariana? Tell me. So I'll write it down for you.
It's Mariana.
Mariana, right?
Right. Mariana.
Okay. So your name. I should probably put your name in caps here. Sorry. So from what I hear, it's Mariana. Mari. Is it the do you roll your R for your name? Mariana or Mariana?
Mariana.
So you roll your R, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then Mari and then yeah. That's what I hear. So when I read this, Mariana. That's what I hear.
Oh, Mariana.
Yes. Now, if I were to write this as an American, and let's say I never knew the pronunciation of your name, I would say I would put the upside down R. Na. Say. This is probably the pronunciation of your name when you come across people who don't know how to pronounce your name. So this is how I pronounce this one. Mariana. Yeah. So that's the American pronunciation. Mariana. Whereas for yours, I can see the Spanish. Mariana. Do you see the difference? Like that's why IPA is so valuable. Because if you write your name a certain way to an IPA person and they can read that, they'll say, your name is Mariana, right? And that's how you say it? You say, yeah, that's it. So if I were to guess, like when I first met you, I said Mariana. Because that's American. Mariana. So it's really cool, right? That's what I love about IPA. So there's Mariana's example. Oh, Mariana. That's Mariana's example because I'm starting to keep your name as your name.
I can say your correctly.
Yes.
Anna.
Yeah, you can say it correctly because Spanish is strong there.
Exactly.
Yeah, Americans can't say it for some reason. I'm like, how hard is it? Like you say the word honey. They probably get so confused because whenever they say the word honey as well, let me see. The word honey, the pronunciation of my A is right there, but it's just they can't separate this portion. They can't separate it because they're so used to having these two connected. To have this substituted with na at the end, han na, it's really weird for them. They're like, I can't do it. I don't know why, but I can't do it. It's because of that reason, because the word pronunciation for honey has to always have ni at the end, nothing else. That's the only time that it's present. So it's kind of like a really dumb rule, but that's how it is. I think we're out of time. It's already 9:03, and that's totally fine with me. You're welcome to go ahead and do 2, 3, and 4 on your own. So 3 and 4, it's not an IPA question. It's more like you can use straight up American English to answer this. So what purpose would you use IPA for? You can say I use this for example, helping me remember how to pronounce people's names properly, It'll help me further my understanding of speaking English, etc. So you can use those two. These two are kind of like the same question, similar. I kind of realized that in retrospect. This one here, feel free to write a sentence in IPA, and then you can submit this in the extra credit portion. You can say, I feel happy. So for me to rewrite this, I'll show you this little trick. If you go to insert, there's a button here called symbols, more symbols in the Word document. They have a specific section here called IPA extension. So all of the symbols are there. There's also another IPA, I think, towards the bottom. It says here phonetic extension. There's also that. What makes this a little bit difficult as well is that we do incorporate a little bit of Greek. Is it Greek symbols? We do have some Greek symbols, but not all of them. But majority of them are located IPA extension. So as you can see, there's our schwa with a little tail at the end. They call it the hook. And that's the sound. This one is the sound. So if I were to write this in IPA, I would write this as... So I need to do this one, put the... Where is the A sound? A. Oh, A. This is the false one. This is the scripture. Then you would say this. I, F, I, L, I feel, ha. Where's the... I use this so frequently. This is why mine is all bars here, because a lot of my assignments ask me to use this. So as you can see, this one would be write one sentence. I feel happy. This is the correct one. I. This one's feel, because the I here is a representation of the long E sound. Ha, P. So I feel happy. So if I see that, that's correct. So you can just write one sentence. It can be short. This is a cat, for example. Because IPA can take a while. If you want to make it longer and challenge yourself, you're more than welcome to. It also makes me have a good time because I love IPA with a passion. So, yeah. So I'll go ahead and mark these two here for extra credit, just because we ran out of time. So extra credit, extra credit, extra credit. Awesome. So with that being said and done, thank you very much for coming to class today. I really appreciate that you stuck around and waited for like the first 10 minutes-ish, because I was setting up for class and I was trying to put this all together. If you have any other questions with IPA, you're more than welcome to post it in the English question section. And I look forward to hearing your guys' practice for the Dream Team Challenge. So make sure I'll write as much detail as possible to help you guys improve. And that'll be over by next Saturday, or this upcoming Saturday. And without that further ado, and I'm sorry for the background noise. I think my other laptop is like playing PewDiePie playing a video game. It's pretty hilarious. So that's that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close the classroom. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. And I'll probably post this lesson again here, and I'll rewrite it as IPA with transcription. So that's the end of today's lesson.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming. You too, Neon. Thank you for coming. Take care.
Yeah.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Really.